1, 2. Is that working? 1, 2. Yep, that's working. Righty. Welcome. Cheers for hanging around a little bit. Some possible developments on the football club front. And that was just taking up my time getting going. What time are we? 5 minutes. So that's not too bad considering I couldn't. But anyways, how's it going, everybody? Let's talk about the absolute entertainment that is Todd Boehly. What an absolute enigma this fucking lunatic is. And how are they getting through this? Basically, Manchester City almost completely disproved the... what's the word I'm looking for here? Existence of FFP. Like, there was a pretend attempt at FFP from UEFA, and then City took them to court and won, and let's just say maybe they cooked the books. Maybe it was 100% legit. Who knows? I'm not an accountant. But now there's this so-called Premier League FFP, which I literally heard about like a week ago. Because where the fuck has this been? Hey? And so there's a potential FFP / loophole kind of thingy going on. Todd Boehly literally is looking at Ed Woodward and going, could do that, me. I could be that guy. Everyone's got to have ambitions, I guess, haven't they? So, Chelsea's expenditure since the club's takeover and the Clearlake Capital Group has kind of left everyone going, fucking hell, what's going on here? How have they managed to get around the so-called Financial Fairplay regulations that are existing? They've just jizzed up £88 million for Mudryk, and it now means they've spent £437 million over the last 2 transfer windows, with reports suggesting that even more is to come. They're not even pretending. So Boehly, when he first arrived, pointed out that new regulations are going to make spending of the past impossible, and then went and broke all records for spending. He says Financial Fairplay is trying to get some teeth, and that will limit the ability to acquire players at any price. UEFA takes it seriously, that's debatable, and will continue to take it seriously. More teeth means financial penalties and disqualification from sporting competitions. But 300 million and 15 signings later, or 437 million, the words don't necessarily ring true. So, what is he doing? Now, FFP rules were brought in by UEFA in 2011 to clamp down on clubs spending what they don't have. More Leeds, less Manchester City, and actually more United because of the debts that the club existed in than the Manchester City and PSG, even though they're the ones that cry about it the most because it's stopping them financially doping to the level that they were doing. The purpose of the regulations was to stop clubs spending more than their means because virtually every club in the Champions League was in debt. Some, like Barcelona, because they just put it all on a credit card and were poorly run and were just spending absolutely wild. Some because they were trying to keep up with the bigger clubs and struggling to do that as well. There weren't many, if any, clubs that are profitably run, including United, because of the big albatross around our neck, which the Glazers saddled us with. Cheers, lads. Now, Manchester City, the most notable English club that have fallen foul of the rules. The club were sanctioned by UEFA in 2020 by breaching the rules, received a 2-year ban from European competitions, but appealed it, and now got a fine of 9 million. What the hell is a fine of 9 million for a club with unlimited funds? Don't do it again. Watch us. Forest, Bournemouth and Fulham are amongst the other clubs that have also been sanctioned under the legislation, and it did prevent Newcastle going as quickly as the likes of City and Chelsea did under their new Saudi Arabian ownership. And part of the answer lies in how Chelsea are structuring these ridiculous deals this window. So Mudryk, for example, is going to receive an 8.5 year, 8 years. That's his whole career. Anyway, 8.5-year deal will allow the expenditure of that to be spread out over a longer period. Badiashile also received a contract of 7 years, but the talks for Fernandes fell through after Benfica wouldn't agree to the instalments that Chelsea were hoping to pay, basically probably over that length of time. According to Romano, Chelsea will now reportedly circumnavigate FFP rules by paying $62 million up front, with performance-related add-ons catching up to $26.5 million. Mudryk's also going to sign an 8.5-year deal, which helps the club from an amortization point of view. Amortization is the registration fee spread out over the period of the contract. So if it's 100 mil and it's 10 years, it's 10 mil a season, rather than 100 mil goes into your FFP account on the day that you sign them. I guess it makes sense in a little bit of a way, but giving out 8.5-year deal literally to circumnavigate FFP is fucking bullshit. So the extra long-term contracts make it extremely difficult to move players on. And when you start trying to cook the books isn't exactly the right word in this sense, but when you start trying to game the system in a way like this, you're fucking in trouble. The reason Barcelona are in trouble is because they tried to game the system by basically doing a swap deal for Pjanic, because them and Juventus both needed to amortize the deal over the length of that player's contract, but they could put the revenue, so they did a swap deal and basically paid each other, but got to say, we got the revenue today, but we're going to pay for it over 5 years. And it's fucking crooked. At the end of the day, is it legal? Yes. Is it right? No. So the new rules that come into play next summer could also leave Chelsea heavily, heavily restricted. The new regulations are going to see clubs subject to squad cost controls for the first time ever. And the cost control rule restricts player spending on coach wages, player wages, transfers, and agent fees to 70% of a club's revenue. Now, most clubs, right, their wage bill alone is about 100% of their revenue. Most clubs. In the Premier League, that's not so much. And certainly at United, it isn't quite that much. But it's going to be dropping down from 90% to 80% and then 70% come 25-26 season. That requirement provides a direct measure between squad costs and income to encourage more performance-related costs and to limit inflation of wages and transfers of players. Now, to be honest, I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but it's at least something, because transfers are getting fucking bananas the way they're going. And there has to be something done about them. I mean, blast away in the comments, and I'll get chatting to you guys in the comments and see what the script is. And I've just got to... and let me know what you lot are thinking. But this is mental, isn't it? Todd Boehly really does give me Woodward vibes. Brian says, dead right on vibe. Why would a player sign that deal? Doesn't make any sense to restrict wages for 8 years. No. You go and sign, if you're a good player, you sign the shortest contract possible, because what happens is a team has to play you, right? Let's say you sign a 3-year deal anywhere. And I think this is the by and large rule that I think it's not one size fits all, because always circumstances are different. But if you sign a 3-year deal with a club and they don't play you in year 1, you go knock on a manager's door and you go, oh, you're going to play me next season? If he says no, well, now you've got an unhappy player on your hands. And come the end of his final second season, he's talking to people, right? So you're going to lose him for free. If you... And that's where most people, they can probably get put on ice for at least a year. That second season, they'll get played because the club's not going to want to lose the value of that player, which means that they'll start playing him in season 2. And then at the end of season 2, they'll renegotiate a contract, and then so on and so forth. You put a guy on an 8.5-year deal. The club is not incentivized to be able to up his wages to keep him. They can just sit him down and say, you signed a deal, you're here for 8.5 years, you're never getting a pay rise unless we absolutely decide to give you one. If the club don't play you in year one, so what? You've got 7 years left. If the club don't play you in year 2, you've got 6 years left. The club don't play you in year 3 or 4 or 5. So what? You've still got 2.5 years left. You can't do shit in 5 years. You can't waste 5 years of a career. It's an absolutely ridiculous deal. David says, can I see a day when there could be a contract price cap? No, because I think you restricting any individual's wage is illegal. That's why you'll see the salary caps are a percentage rather than a figure. So theoretically, there has to be a way for a player in the Premier League to earn 100 million a week, theoretically, right? You can't say, and should anyone ever earn 100 million a week? No, right? But you can't put a cap on it and say, look, no player should ever earn 100 million a week. That's literally illegal. You can't do that. So what you would have to say instead is no player can earn more than like 100% of a club's turnover or something like that. Because you're not allowed to restrict it. It's a bit bizarre like that. Daniel says his agent needs sacking, honestly. Knight says Chelsea linked to Caicedo for 70 million. It's so funny if this still doesn't work after all they've bought on it. Trotter says the FFP is a cheap version of the NFL salary cap, and football will end up the same way and be full of bonuses. Notch says, has this kind of thing ever happened at United? Players getting picked on instruction over contract negotiations? 1,000% yes. And also, one of the most important contract negotiations is your first pro deal. So your first pro deal, if you sign too long a deal, and some people will jump at that because they'll think, 5-year contract with Manchester United. Yes, get me in there. 17 years old. 5 years takes you to 22. 17 to 18, you're probably not going to play first team, and that's probably okay. 18 to 19, probably not going to play first team, and that's probably okay. 19 to 20, did you break into the first team? Have you gone on loan? No? Then your career is over. And there are dozens of players now playing League One, League Two, whatever, because there was no pressure from their contracts, from their agency, from the club to be able to do something about this player. Why do you think you're seeing Garnacho as much as you are right now? A, because he's good enough to play. Yeah, of course he is, yeah. But so have a lot of other players been in the past, and they don't always get to play. Or is it because he's in the last year of his contract and the club are trying to encourage him to stick around and sign a contract because this is the club that's going to develop him? Now, if they sat him on the bench, or not even on the bench, just put him in the 18s or the 23s, and are trying to convince him to stay at Manchester United, why would I do that? Why would I do that? And quite often you might see a young player get his first team debut. Sometimes that is a reward for signing a contract. We've got a super chat here from J.E. Fruscione. It says, still love the content. Serious question. Doesn't have to be FA or the Premier League. Doesn't the FA or the Premier League have to approve transfers? Wouldn't they be able to flag a violating club in real time? Are they just paper laws without teeth? I don't know enough about the new FFP, to be honest. Until someone falls properly foul of it, I don't know. Here's a question for you. Are we in a title race if we beat Arsenal this weekend? Yes or no? Title race, yes. Title race, no. Spam the comments. Would I take a swap for Moukoko and Elanga? We've actually had a video on ice at the moment about Moukoko. Jarvis says, Steve, it's a sporting competition, so rule could be set as a condition of entry to play. Salary caps exist in a lot of pro sports. I get what you're saying, but I'm not sure there isn't some sort of... I was reading that. Whoever just put the poll up has just killed me for it. I'm saying, but I'm not sure there isn't some sort of slight nuances. Actually, there might not be no more, because it was an EU law that prevented salary caps. So maybe now we're not in the EU, maybe that's not a thing anymore. Did I enjoy the derby? It was all right, wasn't it? Tariq says, imagine if Weghorst and Sancho turn up and take us on a short run. Meanwhile, Rashford and Marshall recover. We're in it. Possible. Raf says we're not because of the fixture pile-up. Some people saying yes, yes, yes. Oh, a lot of people say yes. A lot of people saying yes. Daniel says we'll be definitely in serious contention as long as we maintain our form. 20 Legend says I'd loan Elanga to Dortmund. Great for both teams. We will, but don't tell Graham Souness. No, do tell Graham Souness. And I want Graham Souness to be told every time he steps out of his house. How's Martinez getting on? How's Casemiro getting on? Real steady Eddie, that fella. Will Sancho get sold? Doubtful. What do I think of United's new Swiss pop-up shop? Someone sent me that earlier. Shout out to Shaders, actually. He sent me that earlier. Bizarre. But I also believe... So for those of us of a certain vintage, Tiananmen Square was a massacre that happened in China where the government turned on the citizens. And United have a shop there. Like a megastore there. Like an actual... It probably needs to be called more than a megastore because it's a whole experience that United have got in Tiananmen Square. Bit strange, that. Paul says, I'm a footballer in Ukraine and I guarantee 120k a year for 9 years. I'm signing. I mean, but what is the Ukrainian Football League looking like at the moment? I mean, has it been affected by the war? Tony the Tiger says, Steve, best part of the weekend was listening to the anti-United pundits spitting the toys out of the pram. Sensational, innit? I love it. Knight says, does Boehly not realise that he's about to have a squad of over 30 high-paid players? The clear-out is going to be messy. What United need to do is sit around and be real smart with this and pick off the bargains, because there's going to be a fire sale at Chelsea in the very, very near future as they try and recoup all of this, as they've signed some fucking turd lately. Turd. I've seen that video of a 13-year-old Ten Hag speaking to Johan Cruyff about how the youth should be managed. Yes. Do we need to make a whole video on that? Because I think I could probably make a whole video on it. And I love that Ten Hag is a Cruyff disciple. Where will we finish in the Premier League? We had 299 votes. Fourth or outside 5%. First 23%. Second 33%. Third 37%. So it's tight. It's tight. Jazz says, winning the league isn't far off. I'd take third place over winning the league because we don't have enough depth in all areas to spur on. Josh, do you think we need another left back? We've caught Shaw covering centre back. No, because you just put him back. You've got plenty of centre backs. Southie says 35 players to be exact. God damn. And you can only register whatever you can register. There's a certain number that you can register. Notch says, yeah, make the video. Ralph says, did I see Whitwell report this week that Solskjaer had no idea who Ahmad was when he was signed? The guy was shafted for 30 million as well. So this is what I mean about manager. That's his signing. Fucking is it? Not always. Not always. Fruscione with another super chat says, stay agree. If clubs try to avoid FFP by signing players on long-term contracts, those contracts will choke them in the long run. Happens all the time in American sports. Mike says, yes, do the video, please, Steve. All right, we'll look into that. I would say when it calms down a bit, but I believe it doesn't calm down till June. You've got a game every 3 days. Reese says, League Cup and top four and I'm over the moon. I'm taking that right now. You offer me that right now, I'm biting your hands off, right? But I'd like to just see where this season unfolds because I don't know if we could be in for more than that, you know. I was actually chatting to Lescott on the way home and he was saying, like, yeah, you might take that now, but what if you, like, lose the league on the last day of the season? You're going to be gutted. I'm like, yeah, you are, that day. But when you calm down and go, oh, do you know what? With a clear head, that's still a good season. Henoke says, can we talk about Garnacho working to get that assist? Started offside, got back on, ran wrong way, fixed his run for it. He's 18 and killing it. Kid's a player. Kid's a real player. And there's no pressure to play him constantly like there has been with some other youngsters, so we might be able to see where he goes with that. Our man says, Steve, videos and content top notch. Make a video on dog poo. It'll be brilliantly detailed and informative. Do I have news on Rashford's injury? No. I might have asked, but I don't know the answer. Brian Casey says, Steve, if United get a new owner, how concerned would I be that they decide to get rid of Ten Hag and bring in their own man? I bloody hope not. It's absolutely ludicrous if they do. Absolutely ludicrous. I've never seen someone more suited to a job in my life. Rocksteady says, how's Lescott? Is he chill? Good banter on 5. I like Jolien. If it's only for the fact that he played for City that you can't like him. He's good people. And for those that watch Stretford Paddock FC, we played against Jolien and his friends. He likes the project that we're doing down at Paddock. Obviously can't get involved because he does a lot of work on behalf of Manchester City, and well, frankly, he'd get a load of shit for doing anything with us. But I like him. He's got good advice. He's currently working with England under 21s. He's a good lad. Any thoughts on selling McTominay to Newcastle and replace him with an out-of-contract Tielemans for 15 or 25? I was looking at doing that today if I got the opportunity to talk about Tielemans or Herrera as a couple of options. And I might do that this week at some point if I get the opportunity. Any truth to the rumours of a mid-Feb set? I don't know anything about any deadlines. It's so much money, man. Can you imagine trying to just figure out all that cash? Ralph says, kind of worry if we get Newcastle in the final. They look genuinely good defensively and I rate Trippier. Are they good defensively or are they just unadventurous? There's a reason they've got as many draws and losses as they have wins. Man like Mike says, Vincent Kompany seems like that player for City. So we're bred to hate, but seems like a nice bloke on camera when I saw him with views. Yeah, I was trying to give him some shit, and he was just chill with it. But off camera, Vincent Kompany's a gent. There's a couple of players that City have had, right? There's a few of them that have been gassed up into oblivion. But for me, Vincent Kompany and Yaya Toure would be two players that they've had that I would be jealous of. They've had some real good players, but I'm not jealous of most of them, but I am jealous of both Kompany and Yaya Toure. Could I bring Lescott in for a couple of training sessions or meetings at Paddock? Probably not. But like I said, he's sound bloke. We got someone of a similar standing anyway, so don't worry about that. Knight says the title problem is that nobody else has beaten Arsenal. We can't rely on others to get results against them, so it feels like we're always chasing. See that one. Jarvis says, Herrera, do you mean the real one? Hell yeah, I'd have him back for a few years. He's a Ten Hag player for sure. Even if it was just back up to Casemiro, I think he'd have it. Quantum saying ESPN reporting that Shakhtar donated 25 million of Mudryk's fee to the war effort. Interesting. Cornish Red Devil says, what has Ten Hag done to Wan-Bissaka? Looks a different player. I think he may still leave, but Ten Hag deserves great credit for this. The thing that was critical of United for a long while was no one comes here and gets better. Can you say that anymore? Can you say people don't come to United and get better? I'll throw it out there and just say, look, Sancho's been taken out of the limelight for a few weeks. It's only been a few weeks. If Jadon Sancho comes back and the transformation is close to the level of transformation that we have seen in Wan-Bissaka, Delo, Luke Shaw at centre-half, fucking Fred, Marcus. Wow. That is a player we're going to have on our hands. Wow. Steve, do I ever drink in Mulligan's in Manchester? Used to work there for a few years. You look familiar. Occasionally, yes. I don't really drink in the city centre too much. I'm fucking old, man. I've got a wife and kids. I'm not usually kicking about the place in town having bevs, but yeah. Head doorman there, by the way, is Kieran Malloy's dad. I don't know if that's how he knew about us. I don't know. Are we seeing the Fred that Pep wanted to sign? Maybe. Seth said title chase on Vegas is a golden boot race with Haaland. How quickly is Vegas going to beat his Burnley tally, which was 2, in case you didn't know? Pretty quick, right? It's going to be quick, isn't it? It is going to be quick. Would I ever come to Malta? Yes, I would love to come to Malta. It looks like a beautiful place. Why are we not talking about Karras? What's Karras said? What has Karras said? Lucas says, I believe Weghorst will hit the ground running. Yeah, there's something about Weghorst as a signing. Like, if we'd have had Woodward in charge 2-3 weeks ago, we would have signed Felix without a shadow of a doubt. We don't need him. 4 games max, says Adam. Knight says, I've been watching Neves this season. Wolves poor, but he's been playing really well. Yeah, if they go down, you've got to be getting in the mix for him. You've got to be. And he would come cheap too, I would think, at that. Wrong, Steve, you're still pretty young. I'm 39. I am literally 40 this year. You know how terrifying that is? Need to talk about Jermaine Pennant before the United City game. Well, what did Jermaine Pennant say? Notch says, is Casemiro a risk against Palace in case he gets the 5th yellow? Yes. I think you got to throw him in against Arsenal for sure. Did I see what Dean Saunders says? Nothing to do with Ten Hag. Yeah, and do you know what? I'm disappointed in that because Dean Saunders is usually pretty good value. He's one of the only ones that I enjoy listening to on Talk Sport, and now he's just crossed himself off the list. Ranabir, do I think we're doping? No, I don't. Because if we were doping, Ronaldo would have been in the mix as well, wouldn't he? You know what I mean? Who would I rest for Palace? Casemiro or Eriksen or a combination of? Why has no one come for Neves yet? I mean, the guy's got so much experience, Premier League level experience, and plays to such a high level and just seemingly can't get out of Wolves. Play Martinez in midfield against Palace. Do you know what? Ten Hag's got you all believing some fucking chaos, hasn't he? Where people are like, yeah, let's just do that. Let's just put fucking random people in random places. David says, he said City would score 4 or 5 past us and would destroy us and would laugh when it done to shut our fans up thinking we're better. Who said that? Cara or Pennant? What's Cara said? Nunes is a good player. Wolves has got some good players, and that shows you how it can just fall off in a big sense. What do I make of the Royce rumour? What's the rumour? That he's at the club having a medical? Not really sure he's the sort of player we need, to be honest. Heza says, Neves waved goodbye to fans at the end of last season and still couldn't leave. Should Garnacho be starting more with Rashi through the middle? Probably not now. Probably not now. I think it's probably going to be a case of the big horse down the centre. Matt says, Steve, I've heard you talking about doping, especially with regards to Liverpool. Can I elaborate? I know we've hired a cycling trainer and we all know about what cycling is about. So it was a journalist. I'm sorry if I forget his name at the moment, but there's a journalist that done a deep dive into it, and it kind of blew up when Derek from More Plates, More Dates sort of covered it not too long ago. And after Liverpool won the league, and they were flying and they were getting fucking wanked off by anyone that could get anywhere near their dicks, right? This guy wrote an article saying Liverpool won't retain the title, and here's why. And he looks at the number of asthmatics that they've got in the club, and I guess in theory it could all be entirely coincidental, but a lot of what he said came extremely true. And I'll just leave it at that. Mike says, all I'm saying is now we're up in the mix. What's to say we don't get asthma all of a sudden and start on them special Liverpool inhalers? Hey, listen, Alan Moore, that was it. Thank you. Yep, Alan Moore. Alan Moore, that was the name. There's a video on my channel, which is why Liverpool won't win the league again, I think it's called. You want to go listen to what the guy's got to say? You'll find it all on that video. Who's leaving first, Conte or Klopp? I love this game, Conte for sure, but I think Klopp could follow him. I think he definitely could. Where do I think Alanga will end up? Someone said he's a proper Everton signing, and whilst I agree, I don't think he's better than anyone at Everton. So, Fulham? And actually, that might be a bit high up the table for him. Palace. Notch says the interview with Alan Moore was brilliant. It was good. It was good. Listen, Tuchel to replace Klopp. Ooh, that could be scary. That could be scary. That could definitely be scary. Dale says, would love to us to go back, cherry picking the best players from the Prem again. Caicedo, Neves, Matomo. That was what made us good. That was what made Bayern Munich good. That was what made Real Madrid and Barcelona good. Barcelona and Real Madrid, rarely. I know it happened, but it was rare. They wouldn't necessarily. They had a lot of success with South American players and Spanish players, obviously. That, like, Sevilla would bring in the likes of Ramos, obviously as a homegrown player, and was it Dani Alves that was at Sevilla as well? I think it was, wasn't it? Right? Let me just double check that. Yeah, it was Sevilla. Yeah. So what they would do, what they did successfully, is when you bring a player into the league, sometimes players are suited to the league and sometimes players are not suited to the league. And there are generic characteristics of each of the main leagues across Europe. Some are more technical, some are more tactical and defensive, some are a bit more quick and aggressive, and some are a bit more physical, and some are a lot more passing technical. And depending on what your mentality and temperament is as a player, you might be able to play in 3 or 4 of those leagues. If you're amazing, you might be able to play in all of those leagues and it not really matter. Some players could probably only really excel in 1 or 2 of those leagues, and that's probably most players at the top level. What Barcelona and Real Madrid did excellent for years is they'd let somebody else take the gamble on a player from Argentina, Mexico, or Brazil in La Liga, and they would be like, right, Dani Alves, he's pretty good. And then they bring in there, rather than it being the first protocol. Now, there was success stories, and you've seen, as much as I hate to admit that Suarez was a successful player in Europe, but he went to a technical league, a smaller league, an easier league in Holland first before he came to the Premier League. And then obviously he jumped from Liverpool to Barcelona. There's something to be said about buying players that are proven in the league that you are trying to compete in. And you look at some of United's most successful signings of all time, from Eric Cantona to even Paul Ince, Brian Robson, Roy Keane, Dwight York, Andy Cole. There's so many examples of players, Michael Carrick, that you've got from the same league. It's much less of a gamble buying good players in your league than it is Berbatov, of course. And maybe that's why we've not had quite so much success latterly, because we've not been doing that as much. Rooney. Oh, Jesus, how did I forget Wayne Rooney? Yeah, Rooney. Could see Liverpool finishing above United still this season. Not with the way Trent's playing. Jesus fucking Christ. Honestly, has Trent got no mates? Because if I'm your mate, I am being like, excuse me, mate, can I have a word? What the living fuck is this? Have you seen where one of the attacks, I don't know if it does end up in a goal, he doesn't leave the 6-yard box and just bends forward a little bit, staring at it like, you're on the pitch. Fuck. Oh, yeah, Rio. Rio, RVP. Yeah, do you know what I mean? United have got a proven track record of cherry-picking the talent from around the league. Neves is one that we should be looking at for that. Absolutely. Yuri Tielemans, for me, fits that bill in a big way as well. And I don't like how much smoke there is about Harry Kane, but maybe Harry Kane is in the mix as well. Fabrizio says Alanga is interested in moving to Dortmund. I fucking bet he is. Listen to Ten Hag, we won't go to Premier League because he feels the quality to price is off balance now. There's probably a lot in that as well, to be fair. Van der Sar, oh my God, yeah. Sheringham. Do you know what I mean? Point proven. Emphatically. Righty then. I'm going to leave it for that. We will have a preview tomorrow, and there'll probably be another video out there tomorrow as well. if you've gone and seen the 457 walking video on the Howson IRL channel, thank you very much. And if you left a comment, thank you very much as well. We have now started work on the next video on that channel. So hopefully you'll see that they're different to this sort of video, but there will also be some stuff that is a little bit like this that is on there as well. So cheers for tuning in. As always, thank you for the support. Cheers for the support on that channel. If you've not seen it, go check it out. You might enjoy it, and we'll catch you lot in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.